Hi, babe.
How you doing?
Hi, guys. We thought this morning, on this beautiful sunny day, Tugum, Australia, that we'd go
Just
through...
before we do that, just give a view of where we're doing this from. This is our home. We could say we've started paradise early, and now the problem is to get everybody up to speed of what's actually going on behind the scenes with the politicians and the Iranians. And I've been saying all along there's not going to be a war with Iran. What we now have is the American military. I've always said they're full of good people. The lunatics at the top, they've got to be either sorted out or got rid of. And you've got Obama, very, very intelligent man. He's been in communication with us a long time ago. And because he's of his intelligence and his position where he's been placed there, even though he belongs to Skull and Bones, all that kind of thing, you could say it's an infiltration of sorts, in the sense that he may have started off going along with the tide of evil that controls the world, in particular America. And then the good guys are starting to surface because they've had a gutful of it. And we have made a great deal of progress. And we attract everyone who is in power to look at what we're saying. And there are many people out there who are talking about it, saying we're mad, and doing all sorts of uploads that are really dreadful. But they're talking, that's the main thing. It doesn't matter what they're talking about, so far as we're concerned, it's just as long as they're talking about it. So I've been doing this now for over 60 years, so I started off, some people want to know, and probably don't, that how I realised who I was as a child. First off, as a youngster, 2 or 3 years of age, I was very advanced. Could memorise books and sort of things like that. And I was astounded by the hate that was in my own family, and how we'd just come through a world war. And as a child I thought, now if the Pope hadn't have blessed everybody, they wouldn't have went to war. Well, this is the kind of rubbish that is fed out there. The Pope is probably the most evil bastard of all time, with a few exceptions. Pope John Paul I, he was murdered because he's a good man. Pope John Paul II was taken over. Now, we start to get into synchronicity in the sense of who's going to ascend out of the bottomless pit and all this kind of thing. Well, he already did. It was called Pope John Paul II. He was shot 942 days into his term. And 942, of course, is how many times the word Jesus is found in the New Testament verse total of the King James Bible, not the Catholic. So they wouldn't have known that. And whoever tried to kill him was just playing out the game that was already preordained of what's going to happen in the heavenly realm. If you go through your Lord's Prayer, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Now, the Iranians have always obeyed God, irregardless of what they called the religion at the time, Zoroastrianism or whatever. They have never attacked anybody, and they've always done the right thing. And they're doing the right thing now. So it is the chosen people. Now, the Jews of today are not Jews for the most part. And they certainly weren't chosen by God to be the chosen people. This is their own part of the Bible they wrote in for themselves, and they're Pharisees out of Babylon. It goes back very, very ancient times. And it's all to do with doing things secretly and being monsters and ruling by fear and death and fraud and making everybody a slave. That's how it's been up until today. Some of you may have looked up at the straw man. I wrote a book on it, lulu.com. You can go there, The Straw Man Burneth. You just enter into that. It'll tell you how money and what's the root of all evil, and the Rothschilds, and the procedure for getting your money back, because you can't get it because they'll just stall you. But at this point in time, when you're born, you're giving, you get a birth certificate which is mortgaged to a bank or an insurance company or to someone who has bought you. And presently in the United States, a birth certificate is worth around $7 million. So they invest that, you're traded on the stock market because according to the Pharisee Jews, you are an animal with hands put on the earth to serve them. And this goes right back into the royal family, it goes back into Satanism, it goes back to child sacrifice. It's happening every day. That's why there's children on the milk cartons, faces have gone missing. So they do all these things, and we're going to stop it. Now, with Obama, first off, he's very, very intelligent. And when we were able to contact him, we did it through other people, of course. And then we had communication directly of what he's going to do. But also you've got to remember that even what he tells us, he's got to keep his cards close to his chest, otherwise all mail is bugged. So it's very, very difficult for him to communicate directly. So we just watch what he's doing. Now, what has it been doing? Of course, he's telling his generals that he's not going to war with the Jews into Iran to start World War III. You've had your various attempts to start a major earthquake up the centre of the United States through the Madrid fault line. We've had the blowing up of the levees that flooded Louisiana. We've had 300,000 people go missing into the FEMA camps and never come back. So this is about the height of the evil that when you've got 4,000 FEMA camps right across the United States. And people say, oh, Hitler would have loved it. Well, Hitler would have hated it because Hitler was a good man. The evil part was Stalin, was Churchill. These monsters, they were Jews, Zionists, and so was your president at the time. And it goes on and on and on. So how do we break through this? As a child, how do I break through it? Well, first off, I had to be convinced of who I was by several miracles, and they occurred when I was a child. And then by the time I was 6 years of age, Mary appeared to me and told me who I was. And told me things about the Essenes and so forth, that we were Essenes, that no child at that age even knew. And I guarantee you, if you talk to the priest in the local parish, he wouldn't know what an Essene was either. So this was what has been suppressed all throughout time. So I've been given information, and I had to basically figure out the best way to get noticed is to become a lunatic, and people will put you down. Then the word gets out, and then you can back up and start revealing the Great Pyramid and how you measure the temple of God, which is the earth, and that of course is my temple. So it's a matter of me working it all out, marrying people that were horrors, Hosea prophecy, go marry a harlot. Well, I did a couple of times. And that produced children, however, that are miraculously linked to the Great Pyramid dimensions by date. So, giving a small example, when I married Lucifer the first time, and I say that, and I mean it, this demonic creature that I married, I was 1162.6 weeks old. And that is the width of the antechamber leading into the Great Pyramid's King's Chamber. And then after finally getting the second wife, third wife, and the children numbers, when you put them all together, you've got the age between one daughter of Michelle, who was Mary Magdalene. There's no doubt at all about it, I'm telling you. That's who she was. And she's 11.6, her daughter is 11.626 years younger than my oldest daughter. And it goes on and on and on. So
what is 116.26?
Well, 116.26 is the width of the antechamber of inside the Great Pyramid. And you've got to go through that to get into the King's Chamber. Well, there are several genetic day and year differences, week differences between ages of key players in my family. And We have a Black Hawk helicopter over here at the moment. It's bloody endless. We're sort of going to, we should bring the army and ask them when they're going to send their bloody helicopters out so they can do a bit of recording in between time. Anyhow, I won't go into too much about that, but we have to realise that the world that is beyond your comprehension and the world that is being run by evil forces know exactly who I am. They knew exactly where I was going to be born because it's all laid out in the temple of the earth itself and the Great Pyramid and also genetics. So it has to be the most royal person. So all they had to do was find the most royal person when he's going to be born, and it was a no shit moment for them because a child was born on a date where the sunrise to sunset was the same as the Star of Bethlehem, and also the moonrise was 33 minutes later for a total of 888, and etc. It goes on. That is just one small example, and but they knew exactly where I was going to be born.
And the 888.
And the 888, of course, is Jesus in Greek. Now,
Gematria.
Gematria. What gematria is you count A, B, C, D, for example, in English would be 1, 2, 3, 4, right through to 26. But in Greek, it goes from 1 to 8 for the first 8 letters, and then you've got another 8 letters, and it goes from 10 to 80, and then it goes from 100 to 800. So 888 is the Greek language, and that is Jesus. And that is why you'll see some of the words are supposed to be uttered by myself in Aramaic were actually translated as Greek. Alpha and Omega is Greek, it's not Aramaic. Okay. So I'll leave it to my Shviti here, who is more adept at explaining this to Christians, because I've never read the Bible, I've never read the Quran. Parts of it I've read, if you like, skimmed, is bullshit. And even most of the New Testament is bullshit. But there are parts of it that have been angelically inspired within people who write these things 200 years after the fact. I can't remember what happened yesterday, and they're writing what I said 200 years later, or more. But it's been constructed to pinpoint today and myself and everyone that's associated with me in this end time to be identified as being the end time king and queen of the planet. And there's a little one here. Okay. She gets it. She knows she can speak fluent New Testament, Old Testament. I look at it and I say, bullshit.
Yeah, okay.
Carry on.
All right, okay. The Christ has returned. He's not coming. He's already here. And how did he get here? Well, just as the way he came before. That's the way he will return. And what was that way? In the womb of his mother, who was the most royal woman at the time, he came, was born as a child and grew up to be a man. So that's the way he went, and that's the way he returned. The cloudy Jesus, that's all confusion. It's all symbolic, it's all confusion. Information is being removed from the book that all the Christians are reading and manipulated to get you to be looking up instead of looking around on the earth for the man, the Lord Jesus Christ. So it's been a battle. The battle of the beast against the Lamb and his angels, who are few. It's already won. That's what the Revelation is already about. We're living out the Revelation. And we've already crossed back over into the heavenly realm. That's why, as Jesus, the disciples, we asked him, teach us how to pray, Lord. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on the earth as it is in heaven. Well, we're already back in the heavenly realm because the earth has been travelling at 69,000 kilometres per hour or 43,200 miles per hour. And from the time of the cross, that's how long it's taken us to cross back over to the north side of the galactic equator.
I should mention, just to explain that, because there's people out there that think along the physical terms of physics. And we've got Einstein and we've got several other people looking for the ultimate theory. Einstein believed in Jesus in the sense of he honoured the Nazarene. He thought it was the most awe-inspiring thing he ever read.
Alive with the truth, resonated with
the truth. And he was raised up as a Jew by his family, but he went to a Catholic school. He didn't read the Gospels. Now get this. He didn't read the Gospels until he was 32 years old. Why? They don't teach the Gospels
In the Catholic
school. They don't do it. So what I'm saying to the world, the Muslim world is totally devoured by Satanism. It was a Roman construct. Muhammad said very little. What he did say, you're not doing it anyhow if you're a Muslim. Go to St. Catherine's, look up the letter. Now we've got it there, we can show it on the screen, haven't we? Got it there?
No, that's not it. However, it's very short, it's less than a page, and it's instructions to all Muslims to regard...
So I'm giving you little things like, what's the biggest problem in the earth today? Well, bullshit, but apart from that, there's energy, and there it is. There's free energy right there. That's it. I'm building it at the moment. We'll have it all clear plastic, you'll be able to see how it works, and that's it, because 80% of all costs are energy. And now we're going into places like the Middle East, which has all this oil. Well, America, in fact, has more oil than you can use. Australia has more oil you can use. Australia has enough coal to supply the earth for 2,000 years, just Australia alone. And yet there's people here living on the streets because the system doesn't support them. All the corporations have taken over the entire world. And I've seen this in Africa when I worked up in Chingola, Zambia. And there's this great big hole in the ground there, taking millions out. Oppenheimer owns it. And the people that previously lived on it, not only is there a big hole in the ground where they used to live, they don't have anything in the way of work or welfare. They don't have hospitals, nothing, zero. And this is all going to change, I can assure you. The meek will inherit the earth. And the meek are the ones that have no idea what's going on, nor do they know anything about Jesus Christ for the most part. So we're going to put a stop to all that, and that's what it's all about. However, I was going to say, the solar system is moving back and forth from the heavenly side, north side of the Milky Way galaxy or equator. Think of a great big flat plate, 100,000 light years wide, 6 trillion miles. And this little tiny dot of a solar system ducks back and forth as it falls from the northern side, the fall of man you could say, to the south side into hell, and then it started to come back up with the flood. And then by the time of the December the 11th last year, the Mayan calendar fulfilled its prophecy of the date of the 21st of December 2012, because time is out. The Catholics Rome had altered time, and we are 375 days out. And so we're lagging behind. Now we're coming up to 21st of December 2012. It's already happened. Hello. So take over. Creation took place in the northern half of the Milky Way galaxy, and then the fall. To keep it moving, it has to fall one way or the other. It's either falling northward or falling southward. So she ducks down behind this gravitational field of the Milky Way galaxy, goes down countless miles, stops, starts coming back. Then you've got problems on the Earth, and then everything settles down again, ice ages and so forth.
Explain what is different about this time, because we're not going
We're going up, we're not going back down again.
That's it. So
we're going back to where creation took place. But the movement for a physical creation from a spiritual thought of the Creator, myself, means that you have to have atoms, and this requires time and movement. So when you have time and movement, to keep those atoms spinning, you've got to have the movement of the solar system moving. Otherwise, if we weren't moving northward, the Earth would be sucked into the sun within a matter of days. It would start to become so hot we'd be all dead within a week. That's how it works. So by going northward, think of the sun moving northward like this, and behind it is the spiraling planets. And the one that's furthest down, which again defies logic, is the Earth. The other planets are actually higher on the equatorial plane than the Earth is down here. So you've got Jupiter, and you've got these little planets coming along like that. Then you've got the Earth way down the bottom, being pulled along behind it, as are all the planets. But that movement is what causes the atoms to spin. Without it, you can't have a physical reality. And the end-time perfection of the heavenly realm is to become a material realm. That's why you get the Lord's Prayer. That bit I agree with.
Okay. All right. Shall we let this one go up and then
Well,
I'll
put
start?
that like that. We go to it
Okay.
then.
All right. Okay. I'll be back with some.
I'll be back.
Sounds like a threat. I'll be back.